So, yes. Jackie, how are you? Come on. There's a packet right there at the end of the table. Grab that and just take any chair you like. All right, I'd like to call the August 11th, 2025 Tukwila Metropolitan Park District Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Mission and vision. Any volunteers? Thank you, Gary.
TPMP providing welcoming public aquatics facility managed in a fiscally responsible manner with the focus on all ages in the lifelong skills of water safety. We carry out this mission with a board and staff who are compassionate, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of our diverse community, working to foster positive and lifelong experiences with aquatic environments. TPMP vision statement: contributing to the quality of life for our community and for future generations through welcoming, fun, safe and positive aquatic experiences at the time.
Thank you. Would you like to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Start with roll call to my right.
Commissioner Gangler present.
Commissioner Chapin present.
Commissioners all present.
Commissioner Frangela Anderson present.
And the Commissioner Zappo is present, and we're also joined by staff members, our Executive Director, Lynn, our Program Manager, and Susan Shapiro, Operations Manager, Matthew Sullivan, our, I'll get them all, District Bookkeeper, Amy, thank you, and it's always Amy, and our District Clerk, Listener, and a community member and TPAC member, longtime pool supporter, Jackie Carroll. Is there anyone online? No. Okay, that's right. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing the agenda, say aye. All those opposed? And that moves us to the Employee of the Month, Sabrina.
Yes, we nominated Sabrina as our Employee of the Month. She has been hands down super consistent on our front desk, especially in this busy season that we have. Summer is crazy, so she has been very, very helpful, very consistent. She has gotten back into teaching swim lessons as well. Parents love her in the water. They love her engagement with the students. So they just appreciate how she balances, you know, a little bit more of a strict approach, but also understands when to take a softer approach. So parents appreciate her, our patrons appreciate her, and we appreciate her. So thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Is she a volunteer?
So, yeah, and I'm just gonna say, I always really appreciate when I walk in the pool. She's always very cheerful and always makes a point to say hello to everyone. So I appreciate that too. So thank you. Customer citizen comment. And we have one email that's included in the packet. And, but we also have someone here. Do you have anything you'd like to talk about that's not on the agenda, Jackie? No. Okay, just gonna make sure. Need comment?
I think it's interesting, this Commissioner Gangler, I think it's interesting that this comment actually was a part of the discussion that we had at TPAC, and possibly, did we have this in the board meeting too? Or was it just TPAC, and where we talked about, you know, barriers to entry, and we talked about, you know, the fact that people have to have an account. Remember, Brad? That was at the last.
That's pretty robust. I think was it, I was at.
Was at the last.
Four also.
Right, yeah, so I just think it's interesting. I mean, again, this is one person, so it's not everybody, but I think we should kind of keep that in mind as we look at what's available.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Is there any other comments? Not, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to use the consent agenda.
Question.
Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
I.
All those opposed? So then the next thing, we're going a little bit out of order just to respect people's time. And we're gonna move to business item A, which is, and we're not this agenda, just out of the way we normally would do it. So we've got business item A, which is the strategic goals roundtable discussion, which is the biggest focus, obviously, for this evening's meeting. And, where we are right now, and that is in the memo, and that is after receiving some feedback, it got adapted and incorporated into this draft from the example that was provided at the last meeting. And I would like to just encourage sorry, Emily, did we get any comments in addition, written comments?
Right.
So, once again, I'd just like to remind people that this is the priorities for our district, is how we're going to move forward and how the staff get their MO. So that was what the idea behind these goals are. And I will open it up for discussion. I would like to be somewhat linear about it and kind of go through in order, just to make sure we don't miss anything that people might have a wish to talk about. But if there's nothing to say, we can move on very quickly through them. So is there a preference how people would like to do this before I just start? Just start going through?
Sure.
All right, so anyone have any comments, suggestions, concerns with any of the district? Okay. Commissioner Ding.
So. So. Is goal one the highest, are these listed in the highest priority?
So that's a great question, and that can be a discussion. So if we would like it to be in priority, we can do that.
Okay, because I personally, so, and this is just kind of an overview of the whole packet. It's, as far as I could see, there's like, it's very comprehensive, which it should be, because it's comprehensive. My concern was, how can all these things be done? And wouldn't the feasibility and pool, what we're gonna do with the pool next be the top priority? Versus, I'm looking at district goals, improve district's record system for enhanced transparency, and I'm not saying it's not a worthy goal, it definitely is, but if you're talking about building a new pool, I'm kind of thinking that, the records are gonna be, we're gonna wanna start maintaining the records for what we're gonna do, and maybe worry about past records a little later when we have more staff availability. And so my concern about all of this, all the way through, is that there just seems like, and it's very detailed and it's really great. It's kind of like all the time I was reading it, I'm like, yeah, but we've got this, we're gonna try to do a new pool. How are we gonna worry about all this other stuff and do a pool? It seems like it just without, and especially the issues that we're gonna have with, financing, because we're not gonna have like a lot more money for operations, because that's gonna be needing to be driven by revenue. So it seems to me our priorities, I don't know, it's almost like we have two tracks, which we always seem to always have more than one track, where we have comprehensive plan that, most, people have in businesses and just like strategic mission, vision kind of stuff. But then you have what's actually happening, and what's actually happening is we just got awarded $5 million, and we've got to figure out where we're gonna have a pool and what we're gonna do and what that's gonna entail, which I think is gonna take a lot more energy and effort from everybody than we have available to do things like make the records electronic.
Yeah, so there are the different buckets. So what I'm hearing is maybe the buckets need to be reordered. So for example, future envisioning could maybe be the first that we talk. If that's, if that's the biggest priority, that's. Jackie, yes, no, we're just roundtable discussion.
Review these, I reviewed the content and I didn't review them for ordering, assuming an ordering would take place at some point. I agree with Ellen's view on that, and I'm wondering if there's kind of a two-track thing. There's the long-term goals of managing a pool in public facing and all of the things that go into that, strategic goals for that. And then, and just like you said, we have, so that's all of a piece, and then maybe that's a comprehensive plan we're talking about. Yes, this is a whole strategic goal in itself. And maybe those two different tracks need to be called out initially. So to give guidance on how to read through the strategic, just to acknowledge them up front.
Okay. Right, so we've got, so if I'm hearing correctly, I'm hearing maybe we have more of like the day-to-day stuff, like the operations and things like that. And then we have maybe, if I'm just hearing correctly, like future envisioning and facility might be separate, kind of
Yes.
separated.
And I don't know, strategic goals, if you put together a presentation. I'm thinking maybe an intro paragraph saying strategic goals are laid out to address both the strategic goals of the comprehensive plan and maintenance of the pool and this. You identify them and then list them.
That's helpful feedback. How does other people feel about this conversation we're having right now? Aaron?
The idea. Here. It's gonna, we need to see goals, we need something that. Solid. I like. Generally was like, where do we, then do things all work together on one time? Right, it's a little bit different. Even if it's just even as a document, prioritize, and we've done it with so many other. What is a priority to be put into a document, I mean, that mission and vision, what's the most important thing, on those, and so like, yeah.
Similar kind
Similar
of,
thing,
yeah.
same with Jack's one, but also. In the elements too, but I do think that like with the day-to-day operations part that's in here. Yeah, I just think that's. Kind of running its own thing already, I don't really think that as far as the staff side fits. That's gonna change it all, it needs to be in one of them.
Shifted, but maybe to call out that there are, like what Jack was saying, intro paragraph kind of describing it a little bit,
Right.
the process a little bit.
Again, there's the. Start step that we have that we got through and. Parts of it, all look really great, and then there's the, our building the pool, and there's the part of the district, and there's like the, again, like the district is one thing, operations is one thing, and then we have like the melting in the middle.
And finance takes care of everything.
Yeah. Usability, like. If not, maybe a little tiny bit more on the district side, not necessarily, at the day-to-day operations.
Okay. Define it a little. Make sure that it's clear. That's what I'm hearing, that we are clear about what the priorities are and be intentional with the proposal that.
And perhaps it would be in the next step of the comprehensive plan that I think there needs to be point people, and that's where I think, I mean, I'm curious what people who are working in the pool think, because I read this and it's like, holy crap, we're talking about a new pool, and then we're also having to look at a new utility that might take all the data and do that, and I know how long it took us to even just review, you know, the two systems we've used so far, and so that's a big ask of time, so, I mean, you know, but I'm also concerned because if you don't have goals, then it's easy to just get, you know, caught up in the next squirrel that comes by. So I don't know, I don't know what the solution is, because it just like, it's like, God, if we're gonna have a new facility, that's huge. But then, you know, you also don't want everything else to, you know, go by the wayside, but you don't also wanna make these things public, and then you never get to them, because we've done that too, so.
So just, and I guess I should have been really clear, so programming, operations, staffing, outreach, marketing was definitely from our current day-to-day. We're definitely driving that. They provided like specifically programming operations completely, and then contributed to staffing, culture, and outreach and marketing. So a lot of those buckets were driven by our current staff.
Well, and I'm sure they were, but my concern is that, you know, that, like, when I sit down and, you know, look at all the things I need to do, I get this great idea of I can do it all, and I can do it all quickly, and then all of a sudden I'm stuck in the muck, and one thing is taking so much of my time, and I don't want anybody to, you know, like, I don't want this to become a roadmap that we're never able to follow, because it's so huge, but I also, you know, again, I also don't want us not to have a roadmap, because then we, you know, continue to chase squirrels.
So I'm gonna ask Anastasia.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, as I was working on some of these goals, keeping in mind that these are some things that are definitely, if we picked one, we could achieve it. And it's more about, there are a couple, like, for example, the becoming a host site depend on facility updates, so that wouldn't necessarily be something that we could do right this very second, but when I wrote these, I thought, okay, if I picked one goal from this category, this is definitely something we could implement in the given timeline, I guess is how I wrote it. Wouldn't say that I wrote these, for example, thinking we could achieve all three goals at the same time. It's more just picking what the highest priorities were for narrowing down multiple goals. And now narrowing it down even more to what can we do, what is the highest priority? I think back to your point on ordering them, what is the highest priority, what isn't? So there are definitely things on here though that just would take, you know, would be the objective, would be the focus. And just picking which one is the highest priorities, I guess is what I was.
So question. When you wrote the goals, right, so are these additional programs or goals in terms of, in addition to what you're already, right, so you have your current operation, your current program, your current events, your current meetings, your current CPR classes, lifeguard programs, all these things going on. Where does the bandwidth come from?
Yeah, I think with some of these were an enhancement of what we currently offer. So not necessarily an addition to what we offer, but an enhancement. So with the USA Swim Club, it's an enhancement to what currently exists. But if you look at that, you know, if you're going out on waterfronts, doing water safety outreach, that's an additional operating area, but that could be something that we would do. Let's say we closed for a couple of years, we were breaking ground. That is something that we could do in that meantime, but to answer your question, it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, I view it more as in words to kind of the overarching strategy and strategic goals that we already do have. So especially for the operations side, it's SOPs, EAP, and then expanding some of our additional CPR first aid training initiatives, which we already do have fostered, but it would be kind of enhancing. That again is with a timeline 2, 4, 6 years out. So I think it's all doable. It just depends on how we prioritize and manage all that. And what additional resources I can use from utilizing our lifeguards or front desk or other, or just take some planning.
That's It's great. I want to make sure that Andrew, or is this like, certainly, this is just the first round. Andrew, what's your comments about this current conversation?
I agree with Jacqueline. I went in this mindset that like, for we change, because seem like they hinge on the fact that it's the expansion or whatever we plan on doing with the current facility, because otherwise we're at capacity for the most part, so a lot of this can't really be done without whatever the main future is for the actual building. So it's just, I think it's priorities.
Okay,
How are we going to figure out priorities and
yeah, and I think that's certainly doable. That's something we can work that part out. Jerry?
No, the priorities, definitely, that was the first key takeaway I had when I first looked at it. Measurables is another thing about measurables, and to me, when I looked at these goals, I looked at them, and granted, we have 5 years for a new pool, and this, whatever we're gonna be doing. Maybe it's the years that are kind of blocking my vision with that, you know, a 2-year maybe wouldn't happen because we are working on a pool. But I look at these as, these are continual goals, even when we build a new pool that continue on. Maybe it's 2, 4, 6 thing that's more clouding my vision.
Right.
I mean, I get that part of it, that these are things I think will always be consistent. You know, again, so the priorities would be the key takeaway.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, no, totally fair. And, so why don't we focus on, because that seems to be, no?
Well, no, I'm not saying no. I just wanna kind of encapsulate what I think I'm hearing people say, and what I wanted to say is that, you know, when you look at this, each of these goals, and there's a lot of them, are divided into 2 years, 4 years, and 6 years. If you were to read this, and, you know, you were from a foreign planet or whatever, and you looked at it and say, oh, okay, so in 2 years, you've got your district goal 1, you've got your district goal 2, you've got your goal 3, you've got your financial goals 1, 2, and 3, you've got your operation. I mean, this reads like, in the first 2 years, all of these goals in the 2 years should be done. So this, to me, seems incredibly ambitious. And it's almost setting up, again, and this is just maybe my perspective, it's setting up for failure, because, you know, especially if then you throw in, well, we, you know, all of a sudden we have this new priority, which is how we're moving forward. But on the other hand, I also know that if we don't have some sort of roadmap, then it's easy to just get stuck looking at, you know, okay, so what kind of tiles should we get for the new pool? And everybody spends all their time with that, and nobody's worried about, you know, some of these other things. So I tried to think of, like, Anastasia did such a fabulous job with her team to create the Mako shows. Now, that didn't just like pop out of Brad's head, a fully developed program. I mean, I remember when there were only just a few kids, and we were like, you know, there was a lot of uncertainty, is this gonna work? And now we're a few years down the road, it's like, yeah, it's working and it's great. And that's like, like when you had the, you know, summer funds, swim funds or whatever, which the DS is supposed to be small, but anyway, it's a process. And I don't know if it's just my own envisioning of like, oh my God, in 2 years, you're gonna have to get all this stuff done. I'm already hyperventilating. Because it's so much, and it's like, you know, and I've also looked at the, you know, the financials, and it's not like we're gonna get a boatload of money to spend on operations and throw people at the task, we're not. And so, then we actually have to raise rec to pay for the bond, so, you know, it would seem to me that what's gonna drive this, as far as priorities, is what we choose to do as far as what the pool's future is. Now, Brad, I know you worked for the Y, you've been in meetings with high-level people who talk about planning and envisioning and all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about this document, and how can we make it so it's still valid and still helpful in a guide, but not that it's gonna set anybody up for feeling like, oh my God, I've gotta work a 40-hour day, because I can't get everything done if I don't.
You still hyperventilating?
I'm anxious about it. That's what, oh my.
No, it's okay. I think everybody should. I think this should overwhelm folks. It overwhelms me. Goals are overwhelming. I think when we look at goals and we look from kind of from our perch, from an operational piece and from a district piece, I think the truest thing said so far tonight is we're rudderless without goals. Period. And I think we've said that now for years. I think we've all sat here and we can all agree that without consistent and regular check-ins on mutually agreed upon goals from a district level through the operations side, we are lost. And so the conversation is critical and important. The comprehensive plan is critical and important as well. Now, at the end of the day, do we need to accomplish every goal in every bucket in year 1 and 2? No. I think that's the discussion that needs to be hashed out annually. I think the last quarter of every year, I think the board needs to do a pulse check on the district with the operations team, the board, our volunteers, essentially a health checkup that says, hey, this is what we've accomplished this year. This is where we'd like to go. These would be our 2 or 3 top priorities the district like to focus on this year. And again, a lot of this does kind of feed into our regular. So do I feel the district as a whole or the operations team as a whole would be overwhelmed? Yeah, I do. I think there's a level of work that's expected, especially from our full-time teams, where if you are building out a comprehensive aquatic department, focused on safety, community outreach, certification-based programs, so on and so forth, should be well within the wheelhouse. And the better you are at it, it's easy to grow those programs, right? And you start becoming a brand in the neighborhood. So some of these just start to fall in line. Now it's about maintaining them and making sure they're done in a quality manner. As I said earlier, yes, resources, time, money, absolutely. These are those things that we have to talk about. What are we willing to throw at each of these buckets, actually the staffing resource, and even just from a pool resource programs. For me, the next progression to make our sharks is USA Swimming, a competitive arm in addition to our recreational arm. Yes, it can be a lot of work. Is it going to be overwhelming and time consuming for the operations team? It can be. We're still struggling. So Anastasia is not been working with the swim instructors, but these are all those components, right? And I think what we're gonna see if we adopt these tonight, I think what we're gonna see is we're gonna see a little fatigue in year 1, because I think we're all gonna feel the same way. I think that's just the way I'm. I think year 2, we're gonna start really figuring out what the real priorities are, because we can't do all this. So let's pare it down, let's be very specific, and let's be very intentional. The other piece of this, outside of the comprehensive plan, just from a goals perspective, I think the comprehensive plan is critical and it's important to have. I think that is also the roadmap for the district to design annual goals. And I think that may be the component that we need to focus on at a later time, is start kind of carving out what are those 2 to 3 top priorities I want to focus on, reevaluate year 2, year 3. While the comprehensive plan is in the back of everyone's mind that says, hey, here's an opportunity. Does it fit into our comp plan, or is it one of our strategic priorities for the year? And if there's an opportunity to start grabbing at other pieces because resources or funding or grants become available, then we do. We start moving strategically some of these goals to the forefront. So it's just going to be a constant flow. It's a nuance. We're going to have to work through it in partnership and as a collaboration at all levels if we want to be 100% meaningful and intentional in the work we carve out for the district. And when I say the district, that's operations, that's finance, it's district, it's for volunteers or community as well. So I see 2 paths here.
Yeah.
I really do. I see the comp plan as a high comp plan that should be driving a lot of discussion. I see that we need to really start buckets, figuring out 2026, what are we currently working on and what can we reasonably break into the year? These are two of the budget decisions. It's gonna drive how the district chooses to move and breathe, and how the district wants to support.
And I think that was something that I was gonna bring up, and thanks Brad for bringing it up, was that these are fluid. We set them out as priorities, but it doesn't mean they don't ever change. So it's that annual touch point with them. How are we doing? Are they SMART goals? Are they actually reasonable? And we, refine them as we get into them. Because it's a new process for all of us.
I guess I just want to go back to the fact that these are divided into goals and the goals are divided into years. And I kind of would feel better if we got rid of the years.
So that's a problem because the comp plan requires it. I hate to say it, I'm just gonna be perfectly honest, that's why there are years assigned to it, because it actually, the RCO grants and the guidelines for it.
Because
They don't
again,
require 246, but they require a time frame associated with each objective.
well, if we have to have a time frame, then I would, I mean, I look at this and I would look at this as a to-do list. We're writing down here that goal 1 in the first 2 years is to digitize all district records and create a centralized searchable database. That's just for that one goal. And that's in 2 years. And then you've got goal 2, you've got goal 3, you've got all these different goals. And there's like, to me, it's when I had to write a business plan for the internet company I had, it felt like I was just writing a bunch of bullshit because I knew there was no way that it could ever really be done by one person with, limited abilities. And so to me, it's like, if, and
So that's,
I understand that you're saying by RCW or something, but I think that.
not by the RCO grant program, which is the state grant program that we're hoping to be able to be eligible for by writing a comprehensive plan, and that the guidelines for that comprehensive plan timeframes. So let me just talk for really quickly about future vision and goals, because that's where my efforts been recently. And so the 246 for each one of them, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Check.
yeah.
So my question has to do with when it comes to strategic goals and the people that these are going to be submitted to. Are there any gatekeepers on that side? Ellen is concerned that we may be reinstating content that we will be unable to be, and rightly so. However, that would only matter if there were gatekeepers outside the MPD itself. And I see you shake your head now.
As far as, is anyone gonna hold us accountable to those goals if we submit them in a comp plan? No, they are the district, the district owns it.
So this is, the strategic goals as they are twofold. One, they're to document, necessary, long goals for the pool, in accordance with the submission and also for the pool to have, as well as I'm hearing that these are also stretch goals. I don't know that there's anything, I don't know about strategic goals, but is there anything wrong with having stretch goals as strategic goals?
Well, I think if you put a timeline on them, yeah. And that's my whole problem is that these things have a timeline that, maybe we can change the timeline. Maybe it becomes goal 1 is to digitize records. And then there's just, we are calmer about, so for the first 2 years, we research what we can do for electronic records instead of saying in 2 years, we're gonna have everything digitized and searchable. Because that's a huge thing to do. And I don't think you can do that and all these other things. So we're basically publishing something that's unrealistic. And I understand that, ROC or whoever they are want these things and want this, but it's kind of like, well, it's just.
No, it needs to be ours. I'm not disagreeing with you. So what does that look like? So instead of digitize all district records, is maybe it just gets pushed out to research, like you said, research methods and best practices for record retention.
Yeah.
Right,
That,
so-
that could be done in 2 years.
In the grant process, right? Like, part of this is also funding, so I think
Yeah.
all 2 years.
And I think that they're kind of, obviously, know there's grant for it, we've seen them, we've got. So, again, so it's not what we do, and it isn't necessarily we have one person working on, two people working on, okay, let's get grant money, or do that.
Well, even researching it, you might find out, oh, there's all these grants, and that would allow us then to bring in somebody who sits by a scanner and scans everything in.
Right.
I mean, and I think we need to give when I read these, it's like, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna do it in 2 years, and it's like, that's
Right.
not.
But that does make it where it is, like, maybe we do this. And it's not like you need to your thing. You know, first we find all this information out, the second, first, second, by the second, run, position, sleep.
Right, so I think that
That's all.
these, that just, so I guess what I'm having trouble with is that, it's hard for me to view this document as fluid when there's years attached to it, and there are definite years, 1 to 2, this is what we're doing.
So-
Can do to make it more palatable, because I could not vote for something that says that we're gonna get all this stuff done in 2 years.
So let's just look at this. So instead of digitize all of it's research and identify resources for digitizing district records. To, so if we change that 2-year objective to something like that, where I think Anastasia did a great job in some of her programming goals, where the first 2 years was like identify the resources needed, and then the 4-year goal was to put it into practice, and then the 6-year goal was to maybe extend it more. So maybe like this particular district goal about district records, I do agree, could be overwhelming. So maybe we get rid of 1.3, we push 1.1 and 1.2 out to 4 and 6 years, and do a 2-year that just is identifying the resources to be able to do it.
And I guess another question I had regarding district goals, is this board goals, or is this just the Tukwila School or the Tukwila Parks District goals? Because if they're board goals, I'm looking at this and it's like, well, my priority for the board isn't that we digitize records. I mean, it's not a priority, but it's certainly not the top.
So it's not board goals. So board goals would be separate, and that's a separate conversation and document discussion. Now, the second,
That's that.
yeah,
Track that we need to remember, the comprehensive plan is a plan, the goals will derive each year.
right, and it's like Anastasia had some great additional programming goals, but she wanted it, so I asked her just for the top 3, so she has additional goals within programming for her own team. So this is on a higher scale.
So I'm curious, whose input did you get for the district goals?
So it went out to everyone.
No,
Yeah, I know. So
I know
I
you
did
did.
not, so I will be honest, I got input on operations, I got input on programming, I got input on finance, staffing and culture, outreach, marketing. I'm not sure about facility, that's probably it.
Okay,
So there was some input.
okay,
Yeah.
that's great, and I'm not pointing fingers, I know.
No,
you
I
did
know that.
Incredible job. Because I would think for district goals, goal 3 should be goal 1.
Goal 3 should be goal 1.
If we're gonna need to.
Yeah, why don't we talk about these as we do? So I don't disagree with that. Does anyone else have any concerns, questions, comments about making goal 3 goal 1? Because something I know we've talked about.
Yeah, well, and I think if we're, I mean, if this is a roadmap.
Yeah.
And it's fluid, so things are obviously gonna change, but, we wanna put our top goal as our top goal.
I agree. I think that was a great comment to start this whole conversation, that we should be intentional about that. So no one has any issues with making goal 1, strengthen the advisory committee to ensure meaningful community engagement and actionable outcomes. What would people want under district goals to be the second one? So the second one would, but the ones that were presented was enhance the effectiveness of the board through updated bylaws and procedures or the district records.
Well, I think that just personally, myself, moving goal 3 to number 1, I think is an excellent idea, because that was, or I was thinking, I think goal 2 would become
would stay goal two, and goal one goes down to goal three, because it kind of plays together. That's just.
And I guess just to follow up with the question, because I did ask if these were district goals or board goals, and I was told these are district goals, not board goals. So why is number two, which is a board goal, seems to be more board centered than district? So should this be,
Because, so yeah, that's a great question. So let me just explain my process here, because the district does not run without the board. So the board needs to be effective for the district to run. So, and I know we've had some discussions about that too. So especially about board trainings and stuff like that, that's the one board goal that I thought was relevant for the district.
so, thank you. As I was reading this, so I don't know if this, so it seems like enhance the effectiveness of the board is very important, but I don't know if it's only through updated bylaws and procedures, but we also need to be very cognizant of, we're not, I mean, I know we all want to live forever and we all want to just stay with the Tuckahoe pool, but, somebody may move to Hawaii or something might happen. So it seems to me that a district goal should be, one of the district goals should be to make sure that we have, and I don't know how you phrase it, you recruit talented and engaged people to be on your board. That seems to me to be, and then they will create effectiveness in the board through updating, policies, procedures, whatever. But it seems to me that if we don't start focusing on that, then I could see, I could see a chance. I mean, look at what's happened with, we all started so strong in STP and, we've got, thank you, Jackie, for coming.
So yeah, so that was the challenge, right? So going back to what you said earlier about how do you make the goal not so broad that there's no way you're gonna accomplish it, to have some kind of a little bit of narrow down within it. And so what I'm hearing from you is you'd rather see like reaching out and ensuring we have longevity in the board.
Or
Sustainability.
yeah.
So,
As I read the strategic goals, the community engagement part came through, really strong as a very important strategic goal. I mean, what are we as a pool if we're not engaged in the community we serve? And the community engagement thing, the continued growth of talent on the board is a type of community engagement. And so I don't know, could it be community engagement would be inclusive of that? Part of, I mean, we're talking community engagement and that is a factor. That's our community engaged or community engaged in this and that and this. Is my thinking.
No, I hear what you're saying. I'm just, because what Vanessa said earlier was that, the pool can't run without the pool. And so we are, we're a forced evil. And so if the board, is clearly very important, and it's not that we're so important, it's that there is a board that is important, then it seems to me that although I agree with you 100%, Jackie, on community engagement and all that, maybe having something about, creating a pool of, like engaged citizenry to continue the board instead, and then also then repeating it in the community engagement part. But I almost think that it needs to be its own as a directive, because it's going to stand alone and it's going to be something we need to focus on. Because again, if you have a board of people who, just trying to pad their resume, don't swim, don't care about the pool, don't, whatever, then I'm afraid, because the boards, really our only job is to, hire the executive director or whatever, whoever we have operating the pool. That's our main job in policy. So we want to make sure we have good people.
so, no, I hear you. I'm just trying to make sure that we're Yeah, so Aaron, what would you feel about,
Yeah.
The effectiveness
I do
of-
like. Like a 2 4 year goal. If not considered to, yeah. You know, kind of in science waiting to come in, right? Two, but, you know, at least a couple people to be able to take it. Crossover, like Jack saying, like where it is a community outreach aspect of our people through TPAC, so the groups and like, or, you know, whatever. Passion and love is, and maybe, you know, it's. You don't. Staff from. Serves to like.
so sorry, I'm just trying to keep us moving along, but sustainability is what I'm hearing. To make
Yeah.
sure that the board is sustainable.
Right, for the whole system.
Yeah. Andrew?
I always envisioned the idea of keeping a sustainable people coming in, that usually comes from community engagement, which comes from now goal one, which
Right.
is be more specific in the new goal one, instead of creating a whole new goal, just adding an emphasis on finding more involvement for people on the board. I don't know. Specifically to make a goal to basically get out there to people come join the board, it seems like a slippery slope for using tax dollars for that. I don't know.
So to kind of melt that a little bit together, where you can enhance the effectiveness and sustainability of the board through, you know, some key pieces, whether it's procedures, ensuring, trying to think like, you know, visibility, right? That could be part of that goal incorporated within it. Could just be a little broader that would incorporate that piece into it. Would that make, Jerry, what do you think?
I agree with what's being said. I mean, the sustainability, you know, I mean, it could just say enhance the effectiveness of the board, but not through updated bylaws and procedures. I mean, because enhancing the effectiveness or something to the effect of, because I actually added to the goal 2 was under 2.2 was communication, which probably goes down to the community outreach. The district goals, when I looked at them, it seemed confusing to me too, because district is, just like Alan said, I thought it was. And I had to understand that that's really the executive director, that's kind of, you know, the district as a whole. They kind of tripped me up a little bit too. I mean, I do like the idea of the goal 3 to number 1, but I think that the sustainability and the communication part is another key. And like I said, maybe it's a matter of just enhance the effectiveness of the board. Not through whatever it's the bylaws and procedures, but the effectiveness of the board would somewhat kind of bring together everything, it's like the communication and effectiveness to get more workers, or whatever that may be.
Okay. So how about we do this? How about rework that goal along those lines of effectiveness and sustainability, and for the next draft with new objectives, and send those out in draft form as soon as I can, so I can get some input.
That sounds great. And the other thing, and I don't know if this would be the appropriate place to put anything, is who owns these? Like who's, because you can make a whole big list.
No, the executive director.
The executive
that's
director is
in
gonna
their-
own everything in this.
Well, that's in their job description, is creating and strategic goals. Like, Jerry, help me with this.
Yeah, it's in the executive director's job to create.
And
Yes.
maintain them, so yes.
Yeah,
So, okay, and
set and monitor strategic goals and objectives.
so just, so I'm clear. So when we're talking about finance goals, you know, it's, create a financial forecasting model to assess future needs.
They're responsible for making sure it gets done, not.
He's
Yeah.
not exactly the point person, But he's the one who we,
You're not gonna do anything.
I'm like, really? I mean, that can't.
So once again, right, they're just responsible to make sure that they steward these goals and that we align every, operations are, every programming with it. So giving the direction to the staff and whatever staff is going to, actually complete it.
Okay.
Are people good if we move on to finance? Jerry or Jackie, did you have anything additional? I didn't know. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of throw it to Jerry because she did go through these and was, especially finance committee will be a big the financial goals.
Issues with them, because they all kind of align with my goals for finance. Ensuring the long-term financial stability through workforce planning, which goes along with our, grant, and that's where we're going. There's been talk about a budget software and things that we're looking at to increase to help staff and district to be able to maneuver through these goals a little easier. But again, that's part of long-term financial stability.
Did you have any issues with, just from the finance committee perspective, that in 2 years, launching a sponsorship and donation programming? Right, because that's what we're doing right now, and we're working on our sponsorship donation along with the big picture, so it does actually align with that project.
It does, and as I looked through that, and I think when I made my notes originally, I actually moved 2.3 up to be the first one under goal 2. Develop a strategic grant acquisition and fundraising strategy, because that's kind of what we're doing with
Okay.
this. Including staff, self support, and getting more of that funding opportunity. Again, maybe it's an after goal 2 becomes goal 1.
So is that, as finance committee, that would be your recommendation? Goal 2 became goal 1?
Yeah.
Andrew, how do you feel about that?
I agree with that.
Anyone else have any reasons that way, or did you heard of?
I'd be for,
The goal 2 become goal 1, and then 2.3 becomes 2.1. Does anyone have any,
And then where does 2.1 go?
just bumps down to 2.2? Is that what I'm hearing, Jerry?
2.2 sounds like it should be operational.
Well, it's
It's somewhat financial, just because of revenue.
generate additional revenue for the under, so that's driving the
But yeah, I
conversation.
agree with what Alan's saying.
But no, I agree with what you're saying too, I just,
That's kind of like, we need more revenue. You guys go find more revenue, bring back.
yeah, it's internal revenue, yeah. By the
Service.
program. The creative financial forecasting model. What are we really talking about this?
So Brad can help with this. It's something we've talked about in finance for a while.
Songs, yeah, which is good.
Good,
It is good, and I think we need to really, we go through the budgeting process, when we look at our finances at levy and revenue, and we have our work for it, and it's all thing, but it's just our. I think we really need to keep. We always look at 2026 is what we're working on now, and so we sit at the table, financial forecasting model needs. We need to look at 2-3 years and start strategically setting ourselves up for success in that kind of view, that long-term vision, and we don't have a long-term vision from a budgeting standpoint. You agree with me on that, Jerry? Or are we in always the year, the next year? We're always
That's how
talking
we measure mine right now.
next year,
And
next year.
having the goals would be definitely advantageous.
And also, like SFC, for example, is going to be doing a pro forma, which is going to help us see what that could look like, because they're gonna do the, further outlook of what budgeting looks like, so.
5, 10, 20 year
Yeah.
long facility facility sizes, but it is critical because we think we're doing well. Still be trying to capture and or improve financial stability standpoint, and I don't think we need to look at, you do a 2-year, 3-year look out. To start having those discussions in addition to our annual budget creation.
Okay, so it sounds like you want to add long-term budgeting as part of.
That is part of the financial forecasting model, that would be incorporated within that.
Well, that sounds like that's so is the financial forecasting model finding some new tool to use that will allow us to do long-term budgeting as well as current budgeting? Or is the long-term financial forecasting model just a way to approach budgeting that now includes longer terms besides the next year?
Thank you.
Yeah, so yes, we can use that, that you put that to make it clearer, I appreciate that, let's put some verbiage about longer term budgeting in there.
Because otherwise it sounds to me like we're looking for software.
Software, okay, good to hear.
Also, I think that 1.2 should become 1.1. And 1.1 can become 1.2. Because if we're creating strategic priorities and goals, then it's really important that we adopt a budgeting process, like central should be linked to those strategic priorities. And then part of that 1.2, which is also very important, is we create a financial model that will allow us to look at not just the next year, but years ahead. That's why I make that argument.
Jerry, Andrew, what do you think about that? I'm not in disagreement. That maybe the strategic, aligning with strategic priorities maybe should be the first thing we look at. Seeing as we're doing strategic goals. Andrew?
Thank you.
Is there any other conversation on finance before we move on to operations? Get ready, Matt.
Well, hold on, time out. I'm gonna join the team because Amy's a bookkeeper, yeah, so Amy is.
Yep.
You support the entire organization from a bookkeeping standpoint. When you look at these and you're hearing these, what are you? We can tell you what you can. But I mean, it would also be nice to hear, and from an operational standpoint, Matthew and Anastasia, you guys work on reports like that. All things that contribute to financials as well, what makes sense, what doesn't, are there things we're missing, are there holes we need to take into consideration, and, but. I know I'm putting you all on the spot, but.
I mean, for me, like when we were at the last finance meeting, sitting down and just thinking, what revenue do we have left to collect for the year, but also looking ahead when I'm sending out these rental contracts, what does that space look like? Because I think with the operations team, we're collaborating, we're forecasting, like, what do we need? What are our goals? Like if finance comes back and says we need 3 more renters or we need to reach X dollar amount, then we need to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, where is that pool space coming from? Who can we start reaching out to? And I think maybe that's part of in our own outreach, right? Like how are we identifying space? How are we identifying those things? So for me, I always appreciated financial forecasting to support that goal where it says, okay, we're going back and we're saying, okay, with the operations team, what do we need to hit? Where are we lacking? Staffing models, so on and so forth. I think for us, it's the staffing dollars, projecting our staffing dollars, like how are we really spending for the year? How are we tracking for the year as well?
And to what Ellen's saying, you've heard so many times, priority swim, making teaching kids to swim. So taking Mako show or putting our kids in those lanes and getting rid of renters is a strategic priority.
Right, and so that would definitely affect operations,
Yeah.
which, and also affects revenue, because it's like, operations can come back and say, well, you want swim lessons, so we're gonna have to take the renters out, and that's gonna lose us this much revenue, so.
Right, yeah.
But, so I guess it just depends on what is the priority. If the priority is, if the board's mission vision is a priority, then at least for me, in this particular discussion, 1.2 should become 1.1, because it drives it says no Anastasia, I understand we're gonna lose revenue, but it's more to our mission than, renting to, smack.
And
Yeah.
the same with operations, if we say, oh, we really, really value having Foster High School kids working at our pool. So maybe it's that cheap because it maybe would be less less costly to have one or two full-time than to manage a lot of different people, but if that's a strategic priority, that affects operations. Just an example, so.
And I think goal 2 is interesting because 2.2 and 2.1, I like 2.1. 2.2, just want to say, seems like its own standalone goal, like kind of almost see it underneath long-term financial stability through robust planning. But I could see how it fits into goal 2, but I see it as both
Yeah,
for us as operations.
You mean the current 4-year objective?
Yeah, 2.2, I see it kind of melding with goal 1, where, it requires some planning with space and things like that. And scheduling.
so I think the goal 2 was, so I think, and a lot of these could fit different places, and I think the reason it probably fits is because you're increasing diverse revenue streams, so you're looking for generating additional revenue from underutilized space, which does tie into making sure we have the best plan.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it would be on the same timeline almost, like you're identifying sponsorships, but also looking at what can you do within your own walls. So it's kind of like one in the same for me versus like a 4-year.
Just because it says 4-year.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't do it sooner, it's just within 4 years.
Yeah, the
that's
time
correct.
isn't for me.
I mean, it'd be much easier to move things up as they become available to be moved up than it is to say, well, we're never gonna get to this. I mean, let's face it, it's gonna be 10 years, so I don't think we should have a 6-year objective for something that's 10 years, but that's beside the point. But anyway, goal 2 is goal 1 now.
So, so we did, but I heard what you said and I've got, so goal 2 is now the biggest priority. Other priority, then goal 2 would be the ensure long-term financial stability. And then goal 3 would be the utilize technology, which is something that I know finance has been talking about for a while, so. So Amy, I don't wanna, you're good? Okay. I know that you've had a chance to talk with the team about it and stuff, so it's, internally, so, that's awesome.
I have a question, I'm sorry, could you rephrase, so we're moving, goal 3, goal 3 is staying goal 3?
Yes, 2 and 1 are swapping places. 2.3 is moving to the top and 1.2 is moving to the top.
Just do want to, at least hoping different areas so far. I feel like I've been everywhere. I do feel like if we're looking at like budgeting software, I think that is also a huge priority for us, even as an ops team, where it's real-time forecasting, where we're not having to enter things manually. But I just want.
Yeah, so that's definitely what you guys are all working on together to make sure that software is working operations as well as financial. So whether that's separate software, whether it's one software, right? So that's part of that identifying. All right, operations. People's thoughts on operations. Is there a preference as to which should be the top goal?
Well, safety seems to be something we have very prominently in our mission and vision, so safety should be a top goal, I think. I think, we also talk about in our mission and vision about how we have, a welcoming environment, a clean facility. I don't know if that would fall under operations or it falls under something else.
It was under staffing and culture.
Yeah, so the high workplace culture attracts, develops, retains talent, yeah, that type of welcoming,
customer service type training is goal number 2 under staff and culture goals, but. So I had to kind of rack my brain to get the staffing bit out of my operational goals. And move that into that type of stuff, because most of my other goals when I was trying to draft this was based on my lifeguards and my staff. So from an operations standpoint, what's needed to make sure the pool runs is water safety, SOPs, and then just as another goal for me, since I do some of the training to offer that up into the community to help drive some more recruitment. It's still, you can put goal 3 into staff and culture, but I felt it was good under operations.
That was an interesting goal. I appreciated that, Matthew, and it's
Yeah.
not, that's fun to see. Does anyone have any comments? And I agree, I think safety should be number 1.
Yeah, so I mean, goal number 1 is the robust safety protocol, so that mainly focuses around those EAP and the tracking those sets.
I would, when you draft it, I would definitely spell out EAP, because
Oh,
first
thank
off was
you.
Employee Assistance Program, and I'm like, what does that have to do with
That's
safety?
what I thought too.
And of course, emergency action plan for us are such a normal. So thank
I
you.
do have to go through that with the lifeguards on the Murray. too.
Yes.
This is the EAP employee assistant program, this is the EAP, our emergency. Yeah,
I
there's.
really like the goal 3, I mean, I think it's got that community outreach thing too, and I can definitely see some partnerships and how it can strengthen, like working with the regional fire authority,
There we go. Yes.
so yeah, I like that.
Hey, Jackie, do you have any? You're good? Jerry? Andrew? Okay, so. All right. Anastasia? Does anyone, sorry, Brad, like Emily, you guys just jump right in, just. I know. Yeah, I know you. So programming goals. So what are people's thoughts here? Which should be the priority number 1?
Goal 2.
And there is spelled out for you. Even in parentheses, Ellen, if you noticed.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Although it's a big emergency, they should all be capitalized.
Well, it's not the title.
You're right. I wonder if EAP should be, something on that code.
So,
I never did well.
yes, I know you don't do well over it. We all know that.
I would run on sentences. It's hard. Yeah, but excellent job.
That's for.
Andrew, Aaron, Jerry, are you in agreement that goal 2 should be goal 1?
Not, I
Okay,
know that, I understand where Don's coming from, because it has the safety listed in that. The Learn to Swim program for 3rd and 8th graders, to me is a priority.
it's from 2.
But that's, again, that's fine, but I understand why we should, like, the safety part of it.
As someone, I asked Jerry the question is, what is your thinking about why, the 3rd and 4th grade programs?
3rd and 8th grade,
Or,
3rd and 8th grade program.
oh, that, 3rd and 8th grade,
Because that's something we've talked about for years since we implemented before, I mean, since even before we were board members, is how we box that.
and it has to do, also ties with community engagement.
It doesn't also have ties into
It's a direct,
Yeah.
get them early, get them young. So, yeah.
Andrew?
They go what? Safety. Some. Grand goals. What?
Aaron?
I mean, just because we've been wanting that one, but, I do think the emergency action plan, I mean, I think these are both like. Cool. Either, so I'm like to find out. Which one goes first?
I'm wondering if, you know, and
I'd like to call our attention to our mission and vision, to our core values. We value, number one, a safe, inclusive, caring public resource that is integrated into the fabric of our community. And number two is educating all ages of our community in the lifelong skills of swimming and water safety. Although I understand, and I know this has been, you know, third grade swim and eighth grade swim or whatever, fourth grade swim, is super important and we definitely want to do it. Our total mission reads about safety. So I mean, our documentation reads that safety is number one. And so
so,
I would think that replacing safety because for a particular program, which is totally worth it, we should totally do, is, would be more in line with what we're
So-
actually
yeah, so,
thinking.
what I was kind of thinking is what I think the goal might be helped with is to put a reference to drowning prevention. Because basically this supports drowning prevention. And that's where we all know third grade, if you get them early enough, they're much less likely to drown.
Well, I think goal two, I just want to elaborate a little bit. It starts with the staff. I mean, when you have a learn to swim program, the only way you can have it is with effectives. So and I'm not trying to reprioritize or anything. I think that our emergency action plan is something that has not yet really existed with all of our program staff. It's there. But I think I also want to call attention that, in 2.2, we share that emergency action plan with our families. If there is a drowning, if there is an emergency, what happens, what can parents expect? And also parental supervision, parents drop their kids off at swim lessons and leave. Kids crying because they need to go to the bathroom, but mom or dad aren't here. And so I'm not trying to reprioritize. I think that without effective staff, without an effective action plan, your learn to swim program isn't gonna be, in essence, the strongest. If
We don't, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so if it's like an
Let's get a
after school
foundation.
program, who's picking the kids up? What is that policy around? What's the expectation, if they're being bussed over, teachers are the point of contact. I think those are just all the things I'm thinking about. If we're speaking on priorities, I mean, when I originally put them out, I just put them out on paper, but if I would speak as the program person, that is kind of how I see that. So I see it on all aspects though.
So, but when you're listening to this conversation and if you were to draft it today,
Mhm.
and you were saying, okay, priority, I'm hearing you might put goal 2 as goal 1.
Yeah, I think it's something that's more achievable, like in a shorter time span than it is with, goal 1. Where it really is a 6-year objective on that one, but goal 2, just because we put the numbers to it, but I'm just saying, I think it's definitely much more attainable on a shorter.
But this foundation was what I heard.
Yes, yeah.
Goal 2 is goal 1. It has to.
Duh.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can't wait to get to a third grade. So if a parent signs up for a kid in a minimum 1 program, 3 years of age, and is exposed to a parental water safety supervision program, cool, and they experience a water emergency on vacation well before their kid was introduced to third grade swim lessons, that program gave them the foundation and support to be successful in managing that crisis. So goal 2 is to be goal 1, from a safety standpoint, an educational standpoint, overall water safety curriculum.
So Andrew and Jerry, would you now agree, listening to the conversation?
I mean, I'll defer,
Yeah.
but would agree.
I know, I really appreciated Anastasia's explanation because it made me look at it.
I have a kid going to elementary school and I have a kid in middle school, so.
But I think this is where we have to remember, the comp plan is a comp. It doesn't mean that the third grade learn to swim program isn't a priority to the district.
No,
by
not at all.
2026. It's where we align ourselves with that to be a strategic program goal, where we apply for grant funding, we continue to push that agenda.
no, like I said, I really appreciated that explanation because it made me understand better. So Jackie, would you, okay. I'm hearing agreement. Goal one now becomes, or goal two becomes goal one, goal one becomes two. Jerry's fine, I just checked in with her.
Oh, right.
And Andrew's fine too, other than his bias.
Jerry, you're fine.
Any other comments, discussions about programming? Good job.
Thank you for letting me.
No, this is what this is all about. This is why we're doing it in this format, because it's super helpful then to try to listen to someone's input from someone else. Okay, moving on to staffing and culture. And actually, this, just an FYI, Jackie's school too, actually came a lot from some comments you had made to me about where you feel welcome and respected and stuff, so. So how do people feel about the goals, like order? Once again, I don't think the order was necessarily addressed, so. I'll let others start.
I think it might, I don't know if it would be appropriate or not to mention the fact, I mean, we have a diverse community and I know we've talked about, pocket talk in some ways, because it seems to me that that is a challenge that I don't know how often it's faced where you have people who come into school, English is not their first language. We might not have somebody who speaks their first language. So I don't know if that might be incorporated in goal two, as far as like,
Yeah,
as far as an objective or something that we want to do to, make sure that we can communicate. And I don't know what even that looks like, so.
But is it a, let me see, is it a program goal to develop, language skills, available language skills available on site? Is it?
I don't know, but when you said that, it made me think, well, maybe what I'm talking about is actually a subset of 2.1. So if we're gonna develop and implement a
Yeah.
welcoming service standard, and part of that welcoming service standard needs to include, okay, how are we gonna communicate with people who
Exactly.
don't speak the languages we have available?
and I think that gives them the staff freedom to explore those kind of things where it
Yeah.
says, and inclusive customer service best practices, because clearly that would be an inclusive customer best practice to be able to communicate with them.
We have
Yes, clearly.
growing connection with
Pictures.
growing connection with the community and growing interest in the pool. So
Yeah, so I think, once again, it can be, when staff come back and say, oh, we're doing this, a lot of, what's really helpful is, and it aligns to, back in, sometime in the future, when you say, and we're doing this, and it aligns to pocket talk at staffing culture goal 2.1.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun.
Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Jerry? Andrew? Any, but as far as priority, one or two, do people have a preference, one should go first? Or is it good leaving?
Well, I thought about it.
Because you want me to reformat it.
No, I don't. No, I can really, you're not gonna have a culture if the staff isn't feeling appreciated,
Yeah.
isn't fulfilled.
as well.
So, I don't know, name a both goal one. I don't.
I mean, if there was one exception for speaker internally. So that's gonna shine through to the community.
And it kind of just speaks to what on stage we had just talked about,
Yeah,
with the programming goals, like this, if you don't have those foundations and a good, safe place to be, or a happy, inclusive place to be, then,
Yeah.
the other doesn't matter so much.
Gosh, see, I'm biased, I would do it. I only would look at goal two, looking at our stack right now, I think goal two, while staffing and onboarding systems are all great, I do also think that, the training right now operationally is where we have the biggest gap is what is that communication from from staff to customer? How can we train our staff best to communicate with customers? I think that's where I see the biggest gap.
And that's like, especially 1.2.
Yeah, I think that, well, I guess I was seeing goal 2 as the staff training to customers. Cause this is continuous staff development, customer service standards and community informed practices. We create resources that are easy to access for both staff and community. I think it helps centralize the message a little bit, but again, that's just me on my own.
And they work together.
Yeah.
Like, you know, once again, staff is the internal piece
Mhm.
and then the,
So I can almost see something like this working out, I mean, just keeping the goals the way they are, but, you know, maybe, I don't know, how have, you know, discuss with your staff on your, you know, training days or whatever. You ask people to bring up issues that, you know, like maybe they have a confrontation with a customer, or maybe a customer, you know, you read some of the reviews and then people can talk about it. And then there might be ideas that the staff can provide that say, hey, if we had, you know, these cards that, you know, that could help us translate or whatever, that might be helpful. And I see those things happening, that gap you see can happen by the staff reporting what they're challenged by, because we know if the patrons are challenged, they're gonna send us an email or they're gonna call. But we, you know, I think we can learn a lot from what the staff are challenged by and see how we can bring training to help them train our patrons better.
I think they
that's-
go hand in
yeah.
hand. They really do. You can't have one without the other.
and like that feedback system in 1.1, which is, you know, what you're just talking about, to make sure you have that feedback system.
Yeah, I
so that
think that's really important.
So are we
Sorry, I
good?
didn't want to speak over you.
So we can move on? Okay. And I'm just gonna point out there are only 2 goals and that's just fine too. We don't need to, you know, no, we do not need 3 for each one. But I'm just, you know, that's not a miss or anything. Outreach and marketing. Now there's 5 goals here.
We added over there.
So let's just, which, you know, might be appropriate. I don't know. So I just wanted to hear from people on this.
Well, it seems like in a way, goal 3 actually talks about other revenue streams that we talked about under finance. Financial goals. I mean,
Is that a result, the finance goal of diverse revenue streams? Does that like, you know, this would align with financial 2 point. Whatever, this is a way to accomplish finance 2 point.
yeah, it would be another tool.
It could be, yeah. I think when I wrote this, I was seeing it specific to fundraising for scholarship programming, but doesn't mean that it can't expand to, you know, bigger funding or fundraising streams where, you know, people might want to donate to the facility versus just to a scholarship.
Yeah.
Is this a marketing employee or is this a programmatic financial? Just curious, you were thinking. And we've talked to it, various people, do we see this as a, because I'm really actually thinking this doesn't in the outreach section, this is a based on.
Funding programmatic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because then it can align with one of those other goals,
Yeah.
right? As a way to accomplish the goal.
Yeah,
or the objective. Does that make sense?
I would, we're putting that on the bottom. The priority scale.
Jerry, Andrew, Aaron, does that make sense to you guys? So I'm just gonna put a nice neat little line through, not including it as outreach marketing and just not including it at all, knowing that that's something on their teams.
Well, I also think you could mention it back in the financial part, just as one of the other examples.
Well, yeah, so it's, yes.
I mean, because you're talking about, you know, changing depending on, you know, what's going on in the pool and getting rid of dead space and you can also, or.
I think I don't wanna like narrow it down so much, saying like this is a specific program. It still has to be broad enough
Okay.
that they can then choose different programs, knowing that Sage's already got this identified.
Okay.
to align with 2.0. All right. Now we got 1, 2, 4, and 5, so 4 goals.
We could take 4 and go straight to the bottom.
Okay.
I think it's just less, it's very dependent on, because we can't host an academy right now, like we just don't have the facilities to do so. But I think if we were closed for a couple of years, we could definitely do goal 5, which, but again, compared to all the other ones, it's less of a priority, where I think the other top 2 on the top take a higher part.
I think it's very timely that you were with this, because goal 5, you know, like expand access to water safety.
Yes, right.
Awesome. That whole thing that I was talking about earlier, which not all of you heard about, so yay, you get to hear about this. I was in Chicago, Museum of Science and Industry, one of my favorite places, and they had this exhibit by SC Johnson, the family company that makes pharmaceuticals and Glade. So you walk, and it was several rooms, and it was really weirdly lit, like it was very dark, you felt like you were going in a tunnel, and the room was curved. And so, and then they projected images on the floor and the walls and the ceiling. And one of the images, and I took a picture of it because I thought it was so cool, was waves, like a beach, like you were on a beach. And because of the lighting, you actually, I mean, it's not like you could feel the water, although you could do something to feel the water. But anyway, you know, my husband hiked up his pants, and so it looked like he was standing on a beach. And it was, and the exhibit was actually about plastics in the wall. And I thought it was, first of all, it got me just super excited, because I thought, wow, this is so engaging, like you feel really excited. You should have seen the kids, they were all over it. They were like playing in the water, they were having all sorts of fun. But it was also really a great opportunity to educate people without being really super preachy. They had a little, you know, like a 6-minute movie where they talked about the ocean, but they weren't like talking about, you know, stop drinking plastic water bottles and stuff, but they just were trying to inform. And then throughout the exhibit, they showed you more information. So I told, I'm gonna try and contact them and see, because I think it would be so awesome to, you know, and in line with what you're talking about, expanding access to water safety education, but also maybe we also expand to just, you know, like helping people become aware of the incredible resource that water is, and especially here in the Northwest, where there is so much water available. And every year we read about kids drowning, blah, blah, blah. And we could really, I think it would be great if we could somehow do a little bit more education, especially as we look into how we want to grow.
Thank you for sharing.
As part of what
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah,
so tying in this is a water is an incredible resource, water safety, drowning prevention, all that. That is something that I believe that could be made. We wanted to say, we want to help you tell this.
I kind of think they might too.
so, and to piggyback on that great story, it's also timely because the city of Tukwila just got a grant for their canoe or kayak launch by the community center, right? You know,
Oh, we should be involved in it.
yes, so, you know, so that's an opportunity where I could see going, then that goes to number 2, also stakeholders and partners, right? Tying it together.
Yeah.
Andrew. Jerry, do you have any comments about priorities or just the,
No, so I just want to be clear, we're getting rid of goal 3.
yes,
So that means that 4 becomes
3, 4. Well, actually, no, 4 becomes 5, because Anastasia wanted that to be moved to the bottom, so it'd be 1 is 1, 2 is 2,
and goal 5 is 3.
5 is 3, and 4 is.
Yeah.
Technically 4 still, but yeah. Do you feel about it?
My only like pretty, like it's currently goal for, right across the community, that more of like a marketing thing, more than an outreach, and that's just, or is it outreach because we are trying to reach out to Red Cross and reach out to have more things, but like it's offering more classes with Red Cross, like more That's a great question.
Yeah, that was my question too. I was gonna ask.
It's, I don't even know how the academies work, like, I really don't know, I guess you. Is there an application process? I don't know, I guess it could be programmatic, but it's not us offering the class necessarily, it's, the Red Cross instructor, trainer, educators would come in and host the class in your facility. We personally would not take any part in the class. It would be more they host their training on site, so it's more like a community partner type of situation where
So,
they are using our facility to host.
so on that line, because it is a very specific, like the swim for funds thing, would that then align with goal 2, the strengthening relationships, stakeholders and partners? As a way to accomplish one of those objectives?
It could, I mean, we are partnering with the Red Cross right now as providers, you know, we provide lifeguard classes and whatnot, so it's really just enhancing what we already offer.
So like 2.2, develop cooperative agreements with partners, regional businesses and institutions.
Yes.
So
that would
maybe,
fall.
would it be fair to take that out as, like, you know, to keep these goals on maybe a higher
High level, yeah.
level? Is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, 2.2 is in alignment with that, yeah.
You're right.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like the, how we're gonna do 2.2.
Yeah, I think it's good to just keep it more high level, general,
And
just.
give you more flexibility rather than saying, so how's that, American?
Yeah.
Facilities,
It's-
classroom, you know, like.
Good question, but that gives you flexibility, right?
I do, I'm looking at 1.2. Sorry to digress. 0.2, it seems similar to the discussion we just had about. Patrons feeling welcome, kind of. I see it as its own separate goal, like 1.1 and 1.3, but I feel like 1.2. Seems like it combines with.
It's duplicating a little bit in the staffing culture.
Some of them gonna be sort of ones that
Yeah.
that have it as a marketing to.
So maybe this is a little bit more language about like, you know, versus at the pool, what we do to be welcoming facility at the pool versus getting materials out there as outreach in multiple languages.
Sure, I mean, we don't have to be that specific, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, I agree with there is crossover in.
I mean, look at it. So. Should be, yeah, what program we use for that program in the year and a half. You know, for people who, or, you know.
Yeah,
Whatever it's doing, you know, yeah.
yeah, but prioritizing that materials that go out into the outreach community, not just at the pool, but.
Yeah.
Does people good with goal 1 being goal 1? I'm not sure, yeah. So we've got goal 1, 2, and 3. Which is 1, 2, and 5. How do people feel? I see a thumbs up.
Well, goal 1.1 is very specific, and in
Yes.
both 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, what isn't mentioned are, I mean, I love the resident ambassador, I think it's great. I love prioritizing language access, and, you know, I understand that this is kind of more printed, but it does go to those other things, which is fine. But what isn't listed in here, I mean, we're very specific about website content and social media. But, you know, we also get a lot of social media information in our packet, and I don't know that we are really disseminating that, you know, really using what we have, which is fine. I mean, because we have to figure out what's the best way to do that. I mean, first of all, but I also, you know, there isn't anything about other types of outreach.
I see what you're saying.
So I mean,
Yeah.
there's the website, yes, there's making sure language is prioritized. And then a resident ambassador program, which again, I think is an awesome idea, but I wonder if maybe between 1.2, if there's a new 1.3 and the 1.3 becomes 1.4, and the new 1.3 would be something about, you know, just like you know, engaging, you know, I don't know what it is, but something that reaches out to other opportunities. I mean, you know, there, because we're talking about outreach and marketing goals, so that's
Yeah.
like South Seattle, it's the tourism place, it's, you know, the city.
So,
the thing.
so I think we could actually put it into 1.1. You know, I mean, not just have improved website and to track progress and inform outreach strategies, because you're talking about to diversify our outreach strategies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the website is clearly one of the easiest ways that we communicate with people. And obviously, you know, we want to have a website that's, you know, but I also think it's really important that we don't just, you know, that we look at all the different opportunities we have, because so many of these things are going to tie into each other all over the place with the partnerships and the, you know, Red Cross and, you know, whoever else we're, you know, whoever wants to put their name on our pool or whatever. I mean, there's lots of opportunity.
A little bit, yeah, so a little bit more focus on the outreach, like
Yeah.
diversifying the outreach strategy. So if I put some language about that
Yeah.
in 1.1.
Yeah, and I'd also, you know, I don't know, you have a specific, which I think is really interesting. There aren't many goals that have a specific social media reach by 50%. I mean,
We can take that.
I think we should take that.
Okay, I'm totally fine with.
because I would think that the next step, once you have this, is that you go into more detail for each of these goals, and that at that point, you say, okay, well, this is kind of what we, you know, we talk about measurements, or we talk about.
That's another
Yeah,
discussion. No, I don't. I
You
agree.
don't-
I remember when I was drafting that, so.
So I just want to throw in one more thing with the outreach marketing. Look, we constantly are reminded by our community, they are unaware. How many people continuously say they're unaware? And if they don't know we're here, they're not coming to the website, so. And I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I think what continues to be missed is the physical presence that we are here, whether that's through creative marketing. There has to be some language in there that allows us to capture the human as they walk by, drive by, public transportation, walk between school buildings, pick up kids. There is a missing component to our marketing now.
I think we had one of those ducks and drove it around Tukwila.
Oh my God, what a great idea.
So, but
That's
pulling,
up to
We know what reliability.
but pulling to what Brad said, I think that actually could be part of one point, the whole point of 1.1 is to increase and diversify our outreach strategies to ensure that we're reaching more people. I mean, that's the goal. So whether it's through website, social media, I think it's just like, you know.
Press releases, articles.
Yeah.
You know, meet and greets. I don't know what, you know, there's so many different things, and I think that.
Diversify our strategies.
Right,
so
and
that-
then it comes down to the discussion of, you know, bandwidth.
Yes.
task level.
But, you know, you could do one of these things and be aligned with one.
Yes, you
You don't have to do.
You don't have
all
to
of
do
them.
all. No.
It's kind of like a teacher, right? And they're looking at their standards. They, you know, not one lesson's gonna take care of every standard.
There is no profession.
Jerry, what do you think? Are you okay with making it a little broader?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew?
So,
No comment?
Aaron?
This goes back to.
Yes.
One outside of the building, I feel like maybe we really should. Do all like. Sign adjustment.
Yeah, it's,
Swimming.
For all.
so if I.
I mean, we do have one, you know. There's no.
So if I added some language surrounding that 1.1 to help with that, would that be
So it's like, basically, we're talking about improving, increasing
visibility?
visibility.
That's what I've got, increased visibility.
Through all.
Jackie, what do you think?
Increased visibility and counseling, very
Yeah.
well.
Okay,
And did you make sure that on this goal, we put like natural resource preservation?
thank you. Where are you?
And expand access to water safety
This programming, right?
and natural resource, water safety education and natural resource preservation or water conservation. That's
Yeah.
goal 3 now. This is we got it. So you thought you were all about that, oh, there are 5 goals here. Nope, slash.
Okay, so are we marketing, can we move on from marketing? Message, okay. Facility maintenance goals. So I'm guessing that people are good with the safe piece being first. Feel pretty safe with that one.
That's
Any comments on either of them? And I think Jerry will confirm the life cycle replacement tracking software. We've been talking about that in finance, Andrew, right? So that's kind of consistent to help support the facility.
Okay.
Something that's in the pipeline has been discussed, researched, so to move it forward is a good thing. And so do anyone have any changes, updates?
Just a question.
Yes,
Under goal 1, because
yes,
it seems to me as if we're talking with all these conversations that we're talking about safety, it seems like 1.2 should become 1.1.
yes.
Elevate the facility safety standards by implementing comprehensive risk mitigation instead of
Oh,
1.1,
Yeah.
evaluating fine. The existing preventive maintenance.
oh, yeah, good one,
That's a good,
should one.
Just time with their thoughts.
the only thing is, Jerry, and I agree with what you're saying, is that a 2-year? Those are a lot of
It's
pieces.
fluid.
So,
I understand what you're saying, but
yeah,
we've been talking about safety with all the other ones, it seems to me that it should just be a higher priority. Yeah, I find it one.
Brad, I'm curious, I just,
I'm definitely not.
Sorry.
just,
Amused.
Well, I think if you put like, sorry, 1.1 is refining what is existing and then building on that, because like we have some protocols in place, not the best, but we have some. I think refining what we have first and then evaluating and elevating what we already do. I feel like maybe that was the thought behind that. So you could leave it as is. It's a verbiage.
I actually like 2 as 1.
Okay, never mind.
you think that's, you think.
Okay, whatever.
Well, let me jump stage here. No,
Thank you for speaking out.
yes,
It should be 1, but I think maybe 1.1 just, it's a wording, just reword it. I don't know if you need to find existing rather than maintenance schedules, like you just need to. I think we schedules using performance data, staff efficiency responsiveness to 2.
Well, if
Just
there's,
one, sorry.
if there's anything in 1.2 that, because Vanessa, you were talking about the time, that can't be done in, 2 years. You could probably merge
yeah,
because facility safety is clearly the most important thing. And then anything that's gonna be longer term can be, and along with the making sure that what we're currently doing is also effective. And so I think you could merge 1.1 and 1.2 to do a new 1.1 that could encapsulate that. And then your 1.2 could be anything that can't be done in 1 to 2 years, even though it is fluid and essential.
so, yeah, so like I see, for example, and maybe I'm totally crazy, but I'm seeing like routine safety audits, district-wide emergency preparedness protocols, definitely 2-year,
Yeah,
within the 2-year. Now, lighting and security, enhanced lighting and security features, that's maybe more with the new building, or, maybe that's a little longer. Comprehensive risk mitigation strategy seems to be more than 2 years to do it, like when you say risk management.
that seems like a big thing, but those are, because they're big words.
What are you thinking?
Understand.
Yeah.
1.2 becomes 1.
Okay, well, if you think that's,
Fine. And maybe breaking out. I'm not looking at the words themselves, like when we use words like comprehensive risk mitigation strategy, that's great. lighting is always gonna be a priority.
Okay.
It's across our entire industry. You can't open a pool without proper lighting. You can't open a pool without a proper pool measure at appropriate X.
Okay.
So these things, if they fail, if they work, we're always gonna be talking and working on lighting into locks, security, the names to priority, whether they're in good condition or not. To see those at the top, because it is the foundation of our safety when we walk away from it.
So Jerry, thank you for bringing this up. So what I'm hearing is 1.2 becomes 1.1. And 1.1 kind of, the verbing changes a little bit to more enhance the existing preventative and use performance data to improve the efficiency and responsiveness.
And that's, yeah, that's good.
That's what I think I heard. Sorry?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm totally fine.
Just want to make sure.
No, this is why,
Asking you questions, Vanessa. I'm just asking.
well, this is why we're doing it this way. I love it. I think it's actually working well.
And helping you to get
Yes.
feedback.
It's helping me get tangible feedback.
But God knows you tried to get it. Well, no. Staff is doing
Okay.
an excellent job.
Yeah, no, it's,
Jerry has done it.
so Jerry, what are you looking at? Okay. Probably 5 pages. Okay, so Aaron, facility maintenance goals, are you fine with them the way they are? Wait, so sorry, it's moving 1.2, moving up to 1.1. Yes, I'm not gonna go backwards. I didn't erase anything.
I think that, and this would just depend on where we end up, but, and I don't think it should be memorialized in this, but it would be one of those things that comes of that thing, is that and we've talked about this for years too, is how can we integrate whoever we end up living by or working with, especially like if it is a school district, because they have, they have alarms, they call, there's always something going on, some emergency happening, fire station showing up, but they're not communicating with the pool. So just depending on whoever we end up having a relationship with, if anyone, that would be something we want to make sure as far as safety that we get in partnership. But I don't think it should be written down, but I think it should be something that gets addressed.
It's, yes. No, and that's absolutely, we've got to,
Well, the pool is definitely tried.
I think that speaks to leveraging those partnerships.
yeah, that's what I was gonna mention, the one about the key partnerships, so, okay. Future visioning, does anyone want to touch those? You don't want number one?
Goals should be goal one in my mind, because I'm for a facility, if you don't know what you're using.
Okay, I see what you're saying, yes. I do understand
Goal
that.
2 should be goal 1.
You're actually completely right, because that was what really drives.
Future visioning goals should be the first goal.
Yeah, and also that's the other conversation, this. Cause what everything we've been working towards the last little bit should be the number one bucket.
It should drive.
So goals, thanks to Andrew for pointing that out. We're doing well on the 2-year objective, by the way.
There you go.
It's like writing your to-do list when you already did something. Yeah.
So anticipate and plan for community growth and needs goal 1. Expand the district's physical and programmatic, because that will inform goal 2, which is expand the program footprint, including additional water, increase accessibility, which is what I grabbed from one of Jackie's comments, through a well-managed community informed capital project. And then 3, which is also strengthening, building on that as a community hub. Are people good with these? Good, just because I wrote them doesn't mean that you can't have.
We, instead of future vision goals, I mean, visioning goals, because, kind of we're in the future right now.
Oh,
Or some other word, maybe, I don't know.
I can-
Is that a word?
is there, if anyone can think of a better word, I'll look it up too. Yeah, I didn't like that either, so just the name of it, future
Future
slash
visioning,
vision.
words, it being the driving goal of this whole document, the number one thing it should be, like, I don't know, that future visioning kind of sounds like a pie in the sky thing instead of,
Well, or it's that you can't make your mind up.
right.
No, but it's.
Future and vision.
Future visioning is, what the board does perhaps on a yearly basis. They write down what's our future visioning for this, and maybe they become strategic goals, maybe they become part of the comprehensive plan. If you don't have a vision, if you don't have these ideas, you don't have anything to draw from it.
But but it seems like right now we're living in that space. We've got $5 million going toward that, so we are living in the future visioning. So is there a better word for future visioning for what we're living in? And then as far as like future visioning, which I don't even know how to look at it because I don't even know what we're currently living in.
One question, level set. Did you put future visioning goals to me? What are we gonna do with the $5 million grant? Anna?
No, because it's how are we moving in the future? What are we gonna be doing?
But we're in the future.
Strengthening as a community hub, like that's a future, like we want to be able to
Yeah, the
create,
actual long-term
yeah,
sustainability and development.
Right,
Yeah,
that's something we're gonna continue to work
This is your
on.
sustainability and development goals versus future.
yeah, I get,
That's what I wrote down.
the only thing,
These two words.
so long-term, I'll see if I can find better verbiage or people can let me know too. So it's that?
Oh, it's Clifford, right?
No, it's because I like, well, no, I like the visioning piece of it, because we are envisioning what our future looks like, so.
Yeah, but I also
Yeah.
think that if
Okay.
the plan lives here and we meet annually, we're going to be discussing our future vision goals on our.
So- Long-term development goals is definitely,
That's
yeah.
fine.
And there you go, changing them.
Long dash, development, sustainability goals.
Parentheses.
you and I,
Sure.
Yeah,
you and I will.
and
Page.
stay with
Circle.
the visioning thing,
Sure line.
but these other two.
Two.
This is what's happening.
Yeah, imminent in the next 6 years, I mean.
So lots of Oxford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was that then?
hold on. Okay, so just
Just
to
amazing people. that they're-
I know, I'm so sorry. But it was good. It was, I hope people got value in this. I think it was a good process.
Also, we got-
So just our buckets, I'm gonna move the, whatever it is, long-term development, whatever it ends up as the first one, and then get a draft out of these with all of the input, and hopefully I encapsulated it all. I'll be talking with Emily to make sure I did. And then as soon as I do it, what I will do is send it out to everyone. Just so that I make sure that, it reflects accurately. The next place this goes, I believe, is TPAC
At this week.
on the 16th. So you will have it before the 16th. Yes, I love my timelines. No, it's, I put it, we approved that time, I made everyone approve that timeline, so I've got no one to myself to blame. So everyone good with that process and, work session if needed, it may not be needed, it sounds like we got a lot of stuff. So let me just get a draft out and we'll talk about it at TPAC and, go from there. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes.
We're talking with T-Mac about. Correct.
No,
No,
no, the revised.
We haven't been,
Yes, hence my consternation about the 16th. It's not very,
well, that's promised.
yeah, no, it's no point in talking about something that's no
We're
longer,
gonna hold it.
so is that all good with you, Brad?
Should we show the one?
Yeah. It will go out to every, all TPAC, Dave Pookie, everyone who's on the distribution list, so. As soon as I get it done. And I will, I'm just gonna ask, would people like a red line?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I will do a clean copy and a red line copy.
excellent. It was helpful.
No, I agree. It's just gonna look a little bit messy, but it's okay. Sounds good. Okay.
I really, really like this part.
Oh, thank you. The aligning to the mission vision.
Yeah, I know. But this is a great piece for people in the community.
I color coded it. The blue went with mission, green went with vision. Thank you, Erin. I appreciate you. Because I actually think it is important.
Yeah, I kind of said we're getting, I mean, that's just great finish. It's just, like I said, I think for easy. See what this is. Take a look at it, so I appreciate it.
Well, it definitely shows that you really paid attention to our mission and vision and listed all these different things. We're gonna have to update it.
I know, that's what I'm not looking at. That's why I have the consternations. This is actually the hardest thing to
Yeah.
update.
No, really, yeah.
But
Good
it's
job.
important. I appreciate that you recognize the importance of that, so thank you. Okay, and thank you, all of you, everyone here. It's wonderful to have this input, so, yes, anyone who doesn't live through reports.
And you don't have to.
Yes, so it's up to you.
Our feelings won't be hurt. We don't blame you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
One thing for the strategic goals.
Yeah, thank you,
You on
Jackie.
Saturday?
I'll see you
You on
again.
Saturday?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
I'm the upstanding.
Bob? You bring Bob?
Oh, Mark.
Oh,
Oh, no, you're so, it's Jack.
Jeff,
It's Jackie and Jack.
JJ.
J&J. Oh, okay.
It's them. I wouldn't even know. Me too. I know.
Oh, thank you. All right, so moving on to reports, we'll start with executive director. That would be Brad.
You don't have to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, any comment?
Please let me know. If not, it's pretty straightforward. The biggest note that I will make, because I got discussion with 26 budget, we received a liability, assessment notice, so I just want to draw your attention there. Everything else is just.
It's just a few $1,000s more than.
Yeah, it's not that.
It wasn't as drastic as what we
Yeah,
thought.
that's good.
And I want to just thank Jerry for sitting in on that, so really for helping out with the WCIE worksheet, so thank you, Jerry. And just also a quick update. The TSD meeting has been rescheduled for August the 14th, which is this Thursday at 9 a.m. So Jerry, Brad, and I will all be attending that.
Is it here?
Sorry?
Is it here?
Going to be.
The only question that I have. Or is, because you say that staff taking the NRPA, and isn't it both in the annexations?
That's,
If you.
Clearly just you. Okay.
just a motion.
Yes.
Sorry, what was that? I'm told.
No, maxed out, Jerry.
Yeah, the conference, he only has that going with.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that too, but I just,
Is Anastasia going?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
It is maxed out.
No, that's awesome. Okay, so no, if no one has any comments for the executive director, we'll move on to operations and programming.
Sure.
So if you guys would like to teach that, or any question, or any questions, oh, I'm sorry, Emily.
Sorry, I realized this. One thing I accidentally took out of your for minutes, I will be going to the OPMA training still at the end of August. That's what I said, point that out. I actually did it.
Yeah, so that's gonna be really great, and you'll be able to share that recording for any of the commissioners who'd like that, access to that training, so that's super good,
Cool.
super exciting. Thank you for doing that. I'm sorry. Head so quickly. It took the opportunity and go.
We're all excited.
Okay, programming and operations, if there's, anyone have any questions? So you'd like to
Just-
highlight?
I just want to share, this Saturday as well, we do have our final championship at Covington, so if you guys would like to stop by, that would be great, so you guys could cheer us on, so that would be awesome. It starts at 2. No guarantees of when it will end, but if I'm helping, better believe it's gonna end. So, so yeah, just wanna share that with everybody. I'll also send out calendar invites just in case you guys forget or would like to go. So yeah, that's all.
Oh, that's,
You still make her shots.
yes. Yeah. Matthew, do you have anything in particular, or you don't have to?
No.
We're just, don't feel like you do, just.
Yeah.
Any questions from the commissioners for operations programming? Okey dokey.
Right, just one highlight, in case nobody saw it, is it in your, like, fire replacement?
Is the
Yes.
first thing on the.
Yeah, just at the drop, just, that one is a high priority, we are gonna be replacing 3.5. And that is gonna be scheduled during a break week coming up in September, so around September. So you should start seeing some communication next week, just to.
Okay, moving on to TPAC. And there was a meeting on July 19th. Jerry, would you like to? Aren't you? Oh, I finally got Jerry. Doesn't happen very.
It was a whole discussion, regarding, the TPAC. Bylaw, the welcoming packet, and where TPAC's goals in some respect, just because that's the word that we're using tonight. Or where they're going, and I haven't heard anything more from them regarding that. It's basically the main part of the discussion, and then there is the discussion. So. I'm sure what it did. That was it.
I do have an update,
Okay.
because I saw Diane Myers Saturday. So she sent out email to TPAC members regarding resolution number 20, where they were gonna go through. She didn't get any response, so my guess is that they're gonna be having some discussion about resolution 20 at the next TPAC meeting.
Appreciate that. We'll be there, the next meeting is this Saturday
Yeah, and I'll be there too.
at TCC.
TCC.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, TPAC. Then Jerry, may as well just keep going.
We went on the 28th. Revenue, for the 2026 budget, very healthy discussion, appreciate the Anastasia and Matthew, but all of them meetings, like very helpful, as we talked about earlier, how it's important that they all get involved and know about their process. Let's go look at the cycle. The final phase of Brad has talked about, again, when we talk about Brad talks about the financial, the mid-year budget review, there's more discussion about the revenue looking to be impacted, but Brad's got some notes that he's put in there for that. Especially with the WCI liability questionnaire, and Anastasia was able to submit that via the portal. Still discussing possibility of rate increase, that's still up for discussion. The next meeting will be August 25th at 4:30. One of the last meeting, finance starting at 4:30, after that, it will start back at 5.
But you're more than welcome to join anytime.
That is correct, thank you very much. That is the end of the morning.
Does anyone have any questions for finance? Thanks, Andrew and Jerry. Moving on to PMOD.
Well, you did that now.
No, we're not doing this yet. We're doing just your meeting you had.
Oh, okay, so we dissolved.
Well, okay, you talked, it looks like you talked about cardboard boat races, discussed the swim meet, USA swimming discussion and. Okay, so we will get there.
Okay.
Erin, would you like to You're good. Oh, that's great. All right. And then feasibility, and I apologize, maybe it came in the additional materials. Currently I
Very extensive.
totally missed it. So biggest news, obviously, we all are pretty aware, TPMPD was recommended for the $5 million King County Aquatics Facility levy grant. So that's obviously our, big report out, but, next steps is King County Council needs to approve it officially.
And that,
I keep looking at their agenda, and they don't really have any meetings scheduled, right? September even. So contracts in the fall, there were several pieces in that contract that we need to comply with, like some additional insurance and cultural resources and stuff. We all were aware of it, so they will help us navigate that. We're doing a current property valuation, just make sure we know.
we need to find somebody.
Yeah, we went out and looked for some companies, and we had one responsive person, so.
Oh, great.
Company, so that's going, I think there's gonna be a special finance meeting to approve.
Special finance meeting to approve, costs. Expenditure for the services.
Is that for like the 53,000?
No, it's like five.
The property.
Oh,
Yeah, just the person services, is sitting around five.
okay.
Jerry and I,
You need to go like that.
no,
That would be more than a special finance.
yes.
Are you, I'm curious, are you gonna have that discussion before your meeting with the school board?
Well, we still need to,
Okay.
know where, moving forward.
Okay.
So, SFC, and once again, we have a school district meeting. The school district has asked us to actually attend the school district meeting tomorrow night, which we are doing again. Jerry, Brad and I, when anyone else, we're gonna be there. There's just a discussion, and they're gonna have it right at the beginning. We've been told it's right at the beginning again. So, and they were actually reasonably good about that. So, yeah, so we will be there talking about that, and then we have our meeting on Thursday. That's about the parking lease amendment, but just, they wanted us there to answer any questions to expedite it, so we're happy to comply and meet them wherever they're at. SFC, we get fairly regular updates. They've just completed the mobile analytics for the other pools to collect additional data, and I think Brad included that in his report. The pro forma appears to be on track, so seem to be communicative, and I have no reason to believe that there's any.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a tremendous experience.
Yeah.
Experience during our original.
So the next thing is Seattle Parks Foundation. We identified that as a potential use for conduit for 501c3 funding. And we had a meeting on July the 28th with the representative, and it was a pretty positive meeting, and they've actually come back on the high level that they feel that we align very well. And so they're just looking to see bandwidth, et cetera. And, but it seems to be, and it's a way for us to leverage 501c3 that were funds that we are not normally eligible for. So they do fundraising for a lot of Seattle projects, but the reason we found it is it was in our Tukwila Parks guide. They actually partner with Tukwila Parks for just, their program
Do you
scholarships.
know if they ever got any money?
Who?
Tukwila Parks from?
Yeah, they got the canoe launch.
Oh, the canoe
That's why
launch.
that's,
Oh, okay.
Waterfront thing
That's
was,
good. I mean, I thought it sounded really like a win-win.
yeah, that was great. So yes, so more information to come on Seattle Parks Foundation, but it's looking, like it's maybe a good possibility to have someone, and they do, that's what they do, so. Scope of work for design and for owner's rep, so an owner's representative, which is kind of like project manager, right? That's a kind of easier way to say it, so that we're moving forward deliberately with that, hopefully by the end of the year to go out for a RFQ, to get that done, so that we're
I was trying to follow what we're saying, design.
Design. That could be parallel, right? Like it's so, but that's the idea. Comprehensive plan, as I mentioned, is drafting, is plugging right along according to my schedule I set. And the first draft will be going to FSSC in September, so it should be good. Feasibility study, yeah, I've already done that. Now, our next meeting is August the 19th at 4 p.m. Did I miss anything? I think that's good. Any questions for us?
Good job.
Good. Thank you. Plugging right along. All right, those are reports. Moving on to business item 9B, and that's Finance Committee mid-year review, which Brad provided to us. So I'll turn it over to Brad.
No comment unless anyone has any questions.
I was reading the revenue part, Brad, and I thought it was interesting. You said that general admissions and general pass revenue are firmly lower than expected. This is primarily due to increased access to alternative local facilities, like I'm guessing the outdoor pools and things like that. Which were open last year too.
Well, I think and this is what I was explaining in discussions. What I believe we're seeing is all operations, outdoor private pools, public pools, yacht pools, renting, everybody. I feel like everyone's finally found their footing. For years of slowly building up to being fully staffed, operational. And I think we've experienced the total scaled back operations. And so this year for me, anecdotally, it does feel, and Matthew and I were just talking today, that we would like to just look at just like mid-June to like September 1st, just crunch the numbers from a utilization standpoint, everything from punch passes to membership sales, check-ins, because it would be interesting to see if our foot traffic is down or if it just feels out.
And we've kind of coasted on not having to do outreach and marketing as much because people were just coming. So it's just, maybe it goes to our strategic goals of, increased visibility.
And then there's this issue with Explore, where if like somebody comes in a couple times, so you only get a log a month.
Not necessarily. So, previously, people would scan multiple times for multiple family members on one punch pass. That is not the case with Explorer. You have to manually reduce that pass. So if a dad wants to scan in for 3 of his kids and he scans it 3 times, it actually just takes 1 scan.
Oh.
So one of the benefits we did see in Explorer, as I was remembering, is that it doesn't double scan for you. And so that is a gap that we have to correct, in communication to our patrons, that is no longer the status quo with this software.
So you have a 10 punch pass, family of 5 comes in. 10 punches a month.
Mhm.
Because they scanned it once thinking it's good for all 5. Theory, 4 visits. So we're seeing the sales drag a little bit because of that.
So it's not reflective of the actual usage, that we have 5 people in the pool, but it only scanned at 1.
Yeah, there is that likelihood.
Yeah.
Should they utilize?
Yes.
Yeah. 10 punch passes will explore.
Yeah, so I'm sure small patrons have learned that and.
So, I mean, we have the front desk staff that know that, so they'll go in and manually. That has given reason, and then they type it in,
Okay.
that rock person.
And they just manually the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but if there's no front desk, say it's at the morning on a rotation for a lap swim, and it's a person coming in and bringing a guest, they scan twice, then there's packing away the chat.
Yeah, that is a challenge. I can see that.
Yeah.
Because
so
you
it
don't want
definitely
people to
loses some.
actively.
Yeah,
There's a lot of nuance to the check-in systems. Everything
Yeah,
that
very.
sounds like there's a beep, right? So if you scan in, it's not on the right screen, it still scans, but it's scanning to nothing.
and the cursor has to be on the correct thing,
Which is why it's critical that there is, which
Yeah.
is staffing.
or if someone accidentally scans in with, say, their city of Tukwila card, boom, or their library card. That'll
Oh, so it's scanning
enter in-
something.
Yeah, that'll enter in whatever that code is, but it obviously isn't in our system.
So
So
are
if somebody.
can you get a list of errors, like how many people did that?
You get a little
So-
explanation.
So
for it.
sometimes you'll come back to the front desk at 7:15 or something, and there's 4 people that come in. And it will be like P to something, and then you'll see 4 codes that are codes, and you have to kind of copy and paste and do it, yeah.
Is that a big problem? Does it happen every
It
day?
doesn't happen very often, but it happens enough that it's annoying.
Yeah, well, so just, misery loves company. City of Tukwila has been having a lot of issues along those lines, so, yes.
I was also struck by, tax merchandise revenue is also below projections attributed to a deliberate reduction in inventory sales, which has improved inventory tracking and consistency. That was confusing to me because how I read it is like, well, we reduced the amount of inventory we have, and so we can't sell as much, but we can count it easier because there's a lot less. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. We work with a very specific demographic who manages or works up on task and inventory count, inventory tracking, and it's also an auditing standpoint, as crazy as it is, we're talking to SAO over cookies and trouble. So tracking your inventory process, like, so we decided to scale back just to control inventory. Finding the items that come in the largest, smallest quantities seem to be disappearing a lot faster than the items like the bigger.
Like a swim cap or something.
Yeah, no real issues in those areas. So, but we also were looking at things that people were. And so we decided to potentially pare down, why put it on the shelf, why sit there, and why try to track it. So, yeah, we pared it down.
Do you have sweatshirts up there yet?
Not yet, because we have not done an intentional order of sweatshirts. But with the inventory and all the supplies, most of our revenue is not coming from the snacks, it's coming from just that. Yeah.
The other thing I noted was special events revenue is experiencing a decline, likely due to participants aging out of existing offerings, suggesting the need for program adjustment. What struck me about that is, yeah, I mean, certainly there's gonna be people who age out. But hopefully we're getting new people in, like, pumpkin plunge, once you turn, I don't know, they like it because they get candy, maybe that's not a good one. Something, that somebody would age out, it's like, I'm not gonna drink something. Yeah, maybe icons. But hopefully we're, I thought it was interesting that that you thought that it was likely due to participants aging out, which I'm not doubting that, but I'm also wondering, what about the people who are just starting, because they should be acclimating, hopefully. So, it's, I thought that was an interesting conundrum.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
That is-
answer that. I don't think there is an answer for it, but.
Yeah.
Strategic, whatever, for outreach and marketing. Right?
Yeah, right.
Just before the younger demographics.
That's gonna come with that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Repeat customers is your one, where your one for residents of Tukwila residents, where we see the sharpest decline in participation, right? And so that's these are all things that we're slowly able to start refining as we get closer to the end. It's time to specifically dig into these subsets of data to start answering these questions, because it will be nice. Shifting in our dominant user group, or kids aging in place, and are we getting them to families outside of our school list families?
Maybe we were just, like we said, riding on our laurels for so long, we didn't need to go out and do marketing to let people know. So maybe it's just that we need to do more of that because once again, how many people don't even know the pool's there?
I think we keep saying that, but something that I found was interesting is that Tukwila is mostly comprised of renters, so you're gonna
Yes.
see
Yeah.
a lot of newer people turning over, and so I think when Brad mentioned the physical marketing piece, the mailers, like, I still have to open my mail if I live in an apartment building. I still get mail directed to me, and so I think seeing that turnover, is it families moving out? Is it a lot of younger families with babies where they don't want to expose them to water quite yet? Like seeing our parent talk classes not even filling, even though I offered more. And so it's just that turnover where you might have older kids in this district, or you might have more younger kids. So I think keeping that in mind, that we have a lot of renters in the city, over 80% and versus just straight homeowners is also important to
In
know.
like special events, especially maybe not the seniors so much,
Mhm,
but.
yeah. But the younger demographic, the flow of people.
They don't seem very. Well, I mean.
I think they love.
Morning, event, I think, and then evening, afternoon event, where it is, more of the adult based one.
Well, like you see Teresa's class is growing,
Yes.
like she has over 40 people in her class, but then that's more than an event. Like that's more
Yeah.
people than we had in cardboard, so you start to see that demographic shift a little bit. Where, what is the priority, where are age demographics
And
landing?
some of that, also, then you have to question like, well, maybe, marketing to churches might be something if you give people. And also, I remember when we looked at, who was coming, I mean, we get a lot of, like, I think one of the things that I looked at over more than half I think more than half of the people who came to the pool were not from Tukwila. So, I mean, that's also part of our story too. So, very interesting.
So. Your morning usage versus your call.
Yeah.
So one thing that did, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, sorry, and then I'll shut up. Is that, is that when I was looking at feasibility and I was looking at, this $5 million and being super happy and all that. And then I was talking to Vanessa and she said that, that the operations budget, because we're gonna have to pay, money for, interest and all that kind of stuff. The operations budget for this fancy new pool, if we build it, is gonna pretty much remain the way that it is right now. And that, we are counting, and we're gonna be in a position which is kind of backwards to us, where we have kind of been able to, do whatever, but we're gonna have to drive revenue. Because there's more swim, there's more water, there's more opportunities, and that's kind of a interesting, I mean, I told Vanessa, I was hyperventilating, I was like, oh my gosh,
I calmed you down.
you did. But it's different, it's different than what we have in place now, but we will have all these great amenities and things to draw people in, and hopefully we'll be able to get some of those 80% renters, or, or we reach out to Des Moines, or, Normandy Park, or wherever.
Also to think that depending on facility design, I know this is a feasibility meeting, my apologies, but I think to the point, creative scheduling in a facility, just because it has multiple spaces, doesn't mean you have to spend in those spaces at the same hour throughout the entirety of the day. So for example, if your warm facility isn't scheduled to be open until it's got its own entrance lock and key, so you can't staffing 5:45. You're opening your other facility, at least throughout the day, so you're able to recapture some of those expenses, save a little bit. It's just gonna be interesting to see what we can eventually come up with. That's, I think, what's really gonna be telling, even outside of performance, right?
Yeah.
Performance, two specific models that should they work, they should.
That just gives us a ballpark. Yeah.
So this is gonna be a fascinating process for us, I think, this year, just digging into the future piece, but also maintaining and continuing to push. So.
Any other questions, comments on the mid-year budget review?
Yeah, so, what we're writing with Friday, but that's not enough, it's just through June, July, makes things look really good.
Yeah,
A lot of green in the expenses, nothing that is major or concerning at the moment. We are tracking very well, so, no major concerns from the immigration side of the district as a whole.
Thanks for the job, thank you.
thank you.
No,
And good job to you guys for
Thank you.
running our,
Thank you.
mission and visions.
Thank you for your team.
I try, I aim to please.
Okay, then we're gonna move on to business item 9C, and you've got my memo. I hope I covered it well enough for PMOC people. Okay, the intent.
But did you read it? You saw it for a while.
Okay, so, all right,
Let's move on.
if there's, I would, look for a motion.
I motion that we accept this.
Dissolve, Piedmont.
FEMA, doesn't, the dissolution. Okay,
Solve Piedmont.
Tolkien novel, okay.
It just works every time we say it, it just sounds worse.
Yeah, the desolation of smog is like.
You make a motion to dissolve.
I do make that
Is
motion.
there anyone who seconds?
Commissioner Frangilli.
All right, is there any discussion on this? Just like to thank contributed to PMOC over the years. I think there was a lot of good work that was done there. It's, run its course, but I really appreciate, especially Ellen, like for showing up so many Saturdays as Jerry, I mean, it was a good thing. And I think it's, we're moving to the future. So thank you to
Yeah,
everyone.
and I mean, I guess, and kind of like what we were just talking about. So we're of the finances here, where it is, in the future, facility to like, relook at this again. I think it's much more intentional.
Yeah, no, like it's not goodbye forever.
Right, but I do think it's like, yeah, I think it's important to kind of transfer that.
Especially at this juncture, so I appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness and willing to address hard topics, so thank you. There's no more discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Those opposed? Passed. Commissioner Wright, report out, in order of position. All right, just really quickly, I just went to cardboard boat races, always one of my favorite things, love to see it. Just want to call out that the community came to spectate, so there were community members. I want to really thank Mayor Tom McLeod and Council Member Hannah Hendrick who came, and former Mayor Alan Eckberg. And they were all and just were excited by it. Just we're very appreciative of the event and engaged. So love to see the community, and there were other community members who came to spectate also. So that was great to see. Although we maybe, the participants are down, it definitely community enjoyed it.
Still in.
Yeah. And so then I also, the next weekend, I got to do help out at Mako Shark Swim Meet, which was fantastic to see our Mako sharks, watching them grow over the years and excel. And I know Aaron and I were just, really appreciated that. To see our kids do so well with personal growth as well as, not just the results. But they, both things it would really see.
USA swim.
They are doing, and then I also stepped in to listen to the SAO financial audit Zoom meeting. And that was very informative, and that's the end of my report. Are you too? I don't even know.
I am just gonna try and follow up with SC Johnson and see what they can help us with regarding
That's
natural
awesome.
information.
We're just gonna go.
Some needs, which is hard for me, I think you go, there's 25 and 50s and there's not, there's switching from school.
That's really nice. What do you mean they're not even coming here? They're going off the
Yeah.
whole family.
Right.
There's a lot of fun to see. Swim up there. See them do like so well, so kudos to Anastasia and staff, actually. Kids, I would love that one. Say hello to some temporary fix on the lights.
Thank you.
Which, it's starting to get dark in the morning, it's starting to get dark in the evening, we should figure this out. So, but that's still like in process. And then, I had a little bit for neighborhood night out, so always done that, none of it was too much for me. Too much, but there was a couple, people that did come up that were excited to hear that we talked to me, and then, people who from upstate. About. That tail. Are you building a pools here, are you closing this one down? Those, when does that happen? So I could do that, so,
Doesn't know, sensible. This as a commissioner, so it's lots of.
Yeah, you have any questions? So it was, yeah, so there's already, some talk out there in the community, so it was exciting. Hopefully we can keep it going.
With what that.
Good.
And a few residents and. So that was, explain how that works.
Yes. Very
And heard a lot of similar things there too about people hearing about the grant and stuff like.
Was Meg out well attended, just curiosity, from an event standpoint, because we.
For what I went, was very.
Where did you go? Which one did you go?
Foster Point,
Oh, okay.
is because. Full hosted and usually there's a lot, so a lot of people show.
Yes,
It looked like it was pretty well attended from what I've seen on Facebook, but
Yeah.
I haven't really.
Over the years, though. This year I still do our name, no, well, I think. It's like multiple ones in one evening. More well, I'm the one that's, so, storm. Say, I can go to your, try, to see my daughter real quick. I guess the location, the one that Jeff Machio, is probably one of the best. You know, like, as far as like, just a huge number of people there for party, they're really. So.
Where's Joe's? Where is this?
Closer to like Starbucks like that, behind that way. You can find it
Okay.
with that.
Military?
Yeah, also military, but not quite military. Like, yeah, that kind of.
Okay. That's
Very,
all right.
actually, so 1 year later, that did it, we had like 100.
Wow.
So it's pretty well.
So, I mean, I think, for future stuff, when we do wanna get information out there.
have people strategically placed at these.
Which Sharon and I actually talked about a little bit, says, you know, like a lot of times, like I said, the city wants to be. Or like we're running for election, and a lot of times, city council, members of the city council will be in the same group, but like they.
Yes.
Trying to hit all these occasions. You kind of laugh at it a little bit, because it's like, it's, you know, the city council, or like the city thing going around all.
The road show.
Yeah, and we have like,
They
it's
call it
so
that.
different than if we were out there doing something, I know that like happens to the BoC in Pool District. So we've got, taking care of these 3 locations, you're taking, you know, and then we get. Are very intentional on going to these for
Yeah,
a reason. It's like,
some of them are running for counts, running for positions right now. So it's a matter of getting out. They want visibility. We don't need to have visibility. Each person to everyone. We can be more strategic.
unless you were, yeah, I guess. I think that's, you know, the course of, but it's like we've done, actual feasibility. So last year, I ran, did quite a survey and stuff.
Yes. Yes, I've been writing them all up.
You know, so just, I do think that's a good thing to do for future reference.
Yeah, no,
If you need to get information out or looking for support or, you know.
That's a great, thank you for doing that, both of you. Jerry, yes,
Very small. I did sit in with Vanessa on the Seattle Parks Foundation, and it does sound very promising, and it was very interesting. And then upcoming, I did sign up for an MRSC piggyback bumps at the end of this for an hour, just to learn a little bit more, see if we can leverage some other communities.
entities.
So,
So that's an example of like our printer service. We piggyback on the state's contract, so we're able to use that. That's technically through piggybacking.
Like, well,
Printer where the reason we get the rate we get is because the printer service is technically piggybacking situation.
Yeah.
But we're also.
You mean the brochures, the printing of
No, the printer, the sharp printer.
copy that we have, we're piggybacking on the municipal.
Yeah, well, no, it's
No.
state like co-op purchasing
Oh.
thing and but it's the rules that you can do it. That's why you get a better deal because you're all, and so it'd be interesting to see just even on a smaller scale, if we could somehow work with another entity to,
We can discuss more finance,
Yeah.
renewed meeting, but we'll
Yeah.
discuss. it.
It's only,
interesting.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like, it's the part, right, it's
Yep.
like the KCAC type stuff that we have access to, we all bought office supplies together, this.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's awesome,
That's,
but if there's opportunity for bigger savings to jointly.
yeah, that was the idea. So thank you, Jerry, for doing that.
and
Okay, miscellaneous. So I forgot to thank Emily for helping me with the press release, getting that out to all the places and, thank you so much. Really appreciate that because I've heard back from a few people that they've heard through multiple channels and different places about our grant. So they didn't just hear one place. So that's been good. We got the message out. So thank you.
Tom Blog's the one that is the, for Tom is what has come up there. Yeah.
So that was helpful.
So most people are said that's their distribution channel, so they appreciate it, seeing it,
That was okay. Right, we're not gonna have an executive session tonight, so I will see a motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Jerry, would you like to second that? Any discussion on it? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned at 8:00.